Hey there! Yes, it's true. Lunch and Literature is back. Anna is not here with us today. She is in daycare, doing whatever fun stuff kids do in daycare. Alex, however, is sitting here with me, eating his lunch, and I have found that two kids eating, messing, and doing the stuff kids do when they eat, it was just too much to combine with reading and dealing with the computer and the recording and everything. So that's why we've been on a rather long hiatus. But now that I have only one kid to deal with, and he has become big enough to eat on his own and behave fairly nicely, we can get back into it with the story about Bilbo and the Dwarves. So, of course, it has been a while since the last episode, so if you need to catch up, it is episode 17 was the last one, so this will be 18, so you can go back in the records and catch up, but I'll just do the last paragraph from last time as a tiny overlap here before we head into uncharted territory. You okay over there? Good. He's working on his apple and peanut butter toast, which seems to go down pretty efficiently. All right, here goes. All of a sudden, they heard a howl away down a hill. A long, shuddering howl. It was answered by another away to the right, and a good deal nearer to them. Then by another, not far away to the left. It was wolves howling at the moon. Wolves gathering together. There were no wolves living near Mr. Baggins' hole at home, but he knew that noise. He had had it described to him often enough in tales. One of his elder cousins, on the Took side, who had been a great traveler, used to imitate it to frighten him. To hear it out in the forest under the moon was too much for Bilbo. Even magic rings are not much use against wolves, especially against the evil packs that lived under the shadow of the goblin-infested mountains, over the edge of the wild in the borders of the unknown. Wolves of that sort smell keener than goblins, and do not need to see you to catch you. What shall we do? What shall we do? He cried. Escaping goblins to be caught by wolves, he said, and it became a proverb, though we now say out of the frying pan into the fire in the same sort of uncomfortable situations. Up the trees, quick, cried Gandalf, and they ran to the trees at the edge of the glade, hunting for those that had branches fairly low or were slender enough to swarm up. They found them as quick as ever they could, you can guess, and up they went as high as they could trust the branches. You would have laughed, from a safe distance, if you had seen the dwarfs sitting up in the trees with their beards dangling down like old gentlemen gone cracked and playing at being boys. Philly and Killy were at the top of a tall larch like an enormous Christmas tree. Dory, Nori, Ori, Oin, and Gloin were more comfortable in the huge pine with regular branches sticking out at intervals like the spokes of a wheel. Beaver, Bofer, Bomber, and Torin were in another. Dwalin and Balin had swarmed up a tall, tender fir with few branches and were trying to find a place to sit in the greenery of the topmost boss. Gandalf, who was a good deal taller than the others, had found a tree into which they could not climb, a large pine standing at the very edge of the glade. He was quite hidden in the boughs, but you could see his eyes gleaming in the moon as he peeped out. Are you okay? Yeah. Okay. Okay. He seems like he's thinking very hard about something. Figuring out which piece of apple to eat next. Okay. And Bilbo? He could not get into a tree and was scuttling about from trunk to trunk like a rabbit that had lost its hole and has a dog after it. I've left the burglar behind again. You've left the burglar behind again, said Nori to Dory, looking down. I can't be always carrying burglars on my back, said Dory. Down tunnels and up trees. What do you think I am, a porter? He'll be eaten if we don't do something, said Thorin. For there were howls all around them now, getting nearer and nearer. Dory, he called, for Dory was lowest down in the easiest tree. Be quick and give Mr. Baggins a hand up. Dory was really a decent fellow, in spite of his grumbling. Poor Bilbo. Are you eating too fast? What are you doing? Oh, you're dumping all your water. Okay. Yeah. Good thing we have water-resistant floors. I guess I didn't put this on right. There. Are you figuring it out? Yeah. Is it still leaking? What? These cups are useless. I should do a cup review rather than read. Tell people what baby cups not to buy. There are lots of them. A lot of baby cups are completely useless. At least when used with those who are just transitioning from being total babies to drinking a bit on their own. It's hard to make really spill-proof cups, I've come to understand. But okay, we'll pull out I think the best thing we have, and that is these silicone topped near spill-proof cups. They're not actually spill-proof because well, a kid can intentionally open the silicone flap that is supposed to make them spill-proof and just pour the water or whatever's in the cup out intentionally, which Anna has done quite a lot after she figured that out, laughing while she does it, of course. Another weak point of these cups, which I guess I should put a picture up now, but I don't have the free hands to do that while I'm actually filling one of these cups, but I'm sure you can Google it if you're curious. Another weak point of these is that if they are first drank from, if they've been used, so that the top section is filled with liquid, so right under the silicone cap there is whatever contents there is in the cup, and then they're being dropped or slammed, which sometimes happens, to the floor, they will spill all over the place because the pressure from the impact will make the liquid spill out from under the cap. So they're not at all spill proof, but they're not too bad. But okay, you don't want water after all. I see. How about blueberries? Everyone likes blueberries, right? There we go. Now where did the book go? There. Let's see. Yes, Dory was really a decent fellow in spite of his grumbling. Poor Bilbo could not reach his hand, even when he climbed down to the bottom branch and hung his arm down as far as he could. So Dory actually climbed out of the tree and let Bilbo scramble up and stand on his back. Just at that moment, the wolves trotted howling into the clearing. All of a sudden, there were hundreds of eyes looking at them. Still, Dory did not let Bilbo down. He waited till he had climbed off his shoulders into the branches, and then he jumped for the branches himself, only just in time. A wolf snapped at his cloak as he swung up and nearly got him. In a minute, there was a whole pack of them, yelping all around the tree and leaping up the trunks, with eyes blazing and tongues hanging out. But even the wild wargs, for so the evil wolves over the edges of the wild were named, cannot climb trees. For a time, they were safe. Luckily, it was warm and not windy. Trees are not very comfortable to sit in for long at any time, but in the cold and the wind, with wolves all around below waiting for you, they can be perfectly miserable places. This glade in the ring of trees was evidently a meeting place of the wolves. More and more kept coming in. They left guards at the foot of the trees in which Dory and Bilbo were, and then went snuffling about till they had smelt out every tree that had anyone in it. These they guarded too, while all the rest, hundreds and hundreds it seemed, went and sat in a great circle in the glade, and in the middle of the circle was a great grey wolf. He spoke to them in the dreadful language of the wargs. Gandalf understood it. Bilbo did not, but it sounded terrible to him, and as if their talk was about cruel and wicked things, as it was. Every now and then, all the wargs in the circle would answer their great chief all together, and in dreadful clamor almost made the hobbit fall out of his pine tree. I will tell you what Gandalf heard, though Bilbo did not understand it. The wargs and the goblins often help one another in wicked deeds. Goblins do not usually venture very far from their mountains, unless they are driven out and are looking for new homes, or are marching to war, which, I am glad to say, was not happening for a long while. Has not happened for a long while, yeah. But in these days, they sometimes used to go on raids, especially to get food or slaves to work for them. Then they often got the wargs to help and shared the plunder with them. Sometimes they rode a wolf like men rode on horses. Now it seemed that a great goblin raid had been planned for that very night. The wargs had come to meet the goblins, and the goblins were late. The reason, no doubt, was the death of the great goblin, and all the excitement caused by the dwarves and Bilbo and the wizard, for whom they were probably still hunting. In spite of the dangers of this far land, bold men had of late been making their way back into it from the south, cutting down trees and building themselves places to live in among more pleasant woods in the valleys and along the river shores. There were many of them, and they were brave and well armed, and even the wargs dared not attack them if they were many together, or in the bright day. But now they had planned with the goblins' help to come by night upon some of the villages nearest the mountains. In their plan, if their plan had been carried out, there would have been none left there next day. All would have been killed except for the few the goblins kept from the wolves and carried back as prisoners to their caves. But this dreadful talk... Okay, I think we end it there. This wasn't very long and a bit of an experimental thing. But it seems Alex is done eating and we will go take a shower. But we'll try to keep up with this. Hopefully tomorrow there will also be time for some lunch and literature, then in Norwegian, keeping with the schedule that we used to have every second day. English every second day, Norwegian, and the schedule will probably be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday uploads, because that is when Anna is at school and that is when I have the capacity to do this now. So hopefully we'll be able to keep it up, and I'll see you later.